The following podcast is a deep, shallow dive production.
Okay, let's go.
Monday morning again. Good Lord, these weekends go by fast, and ironically, the weeks go by fast as well. Anyway, hey, it's Ray Dustar. This is the Deep Shallow Dive, and I am looking forward to having a good week with everybody. So let's get into it. One thing I'm going to start trying to do is actually talk about a lot more of current affairs stuff. You know, obviously, I did not want to try and be like a daily news information source, but I did get a lot of feedback that it is very helpful when I touch on, you know, kind of the big topics. Obviously, not everything, but maybe the things that, you know, are very relevant and prevailing on the front cover of many things. So what I've decided is I am going to do that. I'm going to talk about the things that are really everywhere, but there's always a but with me, right? But I'm going to do it through the lens of distraction. So let me explain what I mean by that. You know, again, I'm not wanting to become like, you know, morning news or nightly news or anything like that. I really want to deep, shallow dive into, you know, bigger picture topics. But I will say that part of that, and if you've listened to the previous episodes, you've probably kind of understood this, you know, a perfect example being the Titan submersible situation, or the situation with FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried, which ironically they covered on 60 Minutes last night, kind of out of nowhere. So that leads me to believe something's coming. But there are things that happen that, quite frankly, I do think are meant to distract. And so I'm going to start covering those a little bit more. And the main one that I'm going to talk about today is this whole Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift relationship, which, I don't know, it's a little too much in my face / your face. So to me, you know, it's a little weird. The whole thing is weird. And as someone that previously, you know, kind of followed Travis Kelce, she definitely, and if you've ever followed Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift is not his type, and I'm going to play for you a clip from Jason Whitlock, who is able to articulate that a lot better than I can. But anyway, regardless, we're going to talk about that. I'm going to start off with saying that I'm sure potentially you heard, and may she rest in peace, but Diane Feinstein did pass away on Friday. And again, obviously, when anyone passes away, that's sad. My condolences to her family, her friends, and everybody, you know, but that situation, you know, definitely was weird to me. It really was. And I'm going to replay her last vote in the Senate, which was, you know, maybe less than 10 days ago, when it was also becoming apparent she had already signed over power of attorney to her daughter. You know, I don't think it's appropriate that she should have been allowed to vote. So actually, let me play that clip for you right now. So give a listen to this.
I note the presence of a quorum. We will now vote to report the Defense Appropriations Bill favorably, subject to amendment. The clerk will call the roll.
Senator Feinstein.
You say aye.
Pardon me?
Aye.
Yeah.
Just say
I would like to support a yes vote on this. It provides $823 billion. That's an increase of $26 billion for the Department of Defense. And it funds priorities submitted.
Yeah, just say aye.
Okay, just
Great,
aye.
Thank you.
Senator.
All right. So again, rest in peace to her. But, you know, that's just not appropriate that she voted in that. And some things that I didn't even really pick up on the last time I brought this up that I wanted to touch on is, you know, I don't know if her vote enabled the quorum, but if you listen at the beginning of that, whoever was reading the roll said this gives us the quorum. It's a defense appropriation bill. You could hear clearly, they said several times, say aye, just say aye, basically telling her how to vote. And then she went on kind of explaining this is a $823 billion vote. It adds $26 billion for the Department of Defense for priorities submitted. I didn't get a chance to really look up the bill to see what are the priorities that are submitted, but obviously I'm going to guess Ukraine's on that list. But overall, again, I'm not going to belabor this one, but I would ask you to think about, as an American citizen and a taxpayer, do you think that was appropriate to allow a 90-year-old person that seemed like she was being told what to do cast a vote for something that is worth $823 billion of, again, taxpayer money? So anyway, I'll leave that with that. So the next thing I wanted to just do a quick follow-up is, I'm not going to talk about that Republican debate, but, I have been really giving a lot of thought to the Gavin Newsom situation because, again, it's just odd to me, his presence at that debate and what that was all about. Obviously the bro fest with Sean Hannity in and of itself was odd, considering the past relationship between those two guys. But fundamentally, as I did some more research on this over the weekend, obviously Gavin is being very clear that no, I support Biden. Biden's the guy. He's amazing. Him and Kamala Harris, greatest administration ever. And that's the talk. And so when the question is directly asked, would you run? Of course he can deflect it and say, no, of course not. I throw my full support behind this current administration. Unless that current administration is an incapacity to run next year. And that's exactly what I think this is setting up. I really do. The dude is everywhere. He is traveling around to other states. They're basically taking him on a tour. It's almost like an informal tour to get the American people comfortable and acquainted to him without really coming out and saying he's doing anything. It's almost like the exact opposite. But if during the Democratic National Convention, which is held next August, I believe, in Illinois and Chicago, by that time, if there is a situation where the Biden-Harris ticket can't be the ticket, then he's totally set up to step in on that. So anyway, the other thing with him is, this debate with Ron DeSantis. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense the more you think about it. DeSantis is running for president. So, okay, kind of makes sense for him, even though Gavin Newsom clowned him and said, this dude is totally not focused. Why is he debating me? I'm not running for president. Well, exactly. Why are you guys debating? Why is this even happening? It shouldn't even be happening. And so none of this stuff happens in a vacuum. There's definitely an ulterior plan with all of this. And like I said, I think right now that plan it's almost like a soft sell of Gavin Newsom. Get him acquainted with everybody, get him acquainted with the country, and have him say, no chance. I'm not thinking about it. Biden-Harris 24, that's the ticket. Until that's not the ticket. And meaning that ticket, basically is not able to run. So anyway, I'm going to flesh that out even more, but I wanted to kind of go over that as well. All right, so let's get into this Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce stuff. And man, Travis Kelce is everywhere now, not only because of obviously this, but I'm seeing him on so many commercials. He's been all over a Pfizer commercial that talks about doubling up your COVID shot and your flu shot. So it's like a 2-for-1 thing. I think I saw it last night, maybe 7 or 8 times during the NBC Sunday Night Football game, and he's just everywhere. He's just everywhere. So let me start off by playing a clip by my main man, Jason Whitlock. If you don't know who Jason Whitlock is, highly encourage you to look him up. I really like Jason. I think he drops a lot of knowledge. I really do. I think he has a very, very intelligent and balanced take most of the time. I mean, I can't say I agree with everything he says. Like, he has a weird relationship slash almost like a fight going on with Candace Owens, which I find that a little odd. And then there's a couple other people that, he's sort of attacked that I don't quite understand. But overall, he's one of the people that I do like listening to, and just hearing what he has to say, because he is actually fearless. And ironically, that's the name of his show. It's called Fearless with Jason Whitlock, if you want to look it up. But okay, this is kind of his hot take on Travis Kelce. And I will say, having followed Travis Kelce on social media, the first part of this is absolutely true. Give a listen.
Pardon me for the idolatry or the racial idolatry of this next statement, but Travis Kelce had let off every sign he liked big booty black women. But in order to get him on board with Pfizer and Bud Light, they had to promise him a little skinny white girl. I ain't mad at him. He versatile, whatever. But Taylor Swift, hardcore leftist, promotes abortion, melted down when Roe v. Wade got overturned. And so I want to give you men, boys, some advice about these career women. Avoid them, because you need to be in control. You need to be man of your house and your relationship. And Travis Kelce, as long as he's involved with Taylor Swift, he got no shot.
All right, so initially I was going to cut that last part out, but I left it in because, again, I don't agree with that. I don't think that anything with this Kelce Swift thing is a bad thing because she's uber successful or a career woman. So I left that in because, again, when I listen to somebody, I don't have to agree with everything they say on a specific topic or in general, but I listen to people that I think overall hit the mark. And so I do think Jason overall hits the mark. Again, I did not agree with that second part, and I left that in on purpose so I could comment on that. But the first part, just about the high profile of this, and gosh, it really is everywhere. And man, they really played it out yesterday on NBC in an exceptional way. So again, to me, I look at this as, I hate to say it, but it's a little bit of a distraction. It really is. So let's see what happens with it. I do think that it also is interesting. I'm going to play you a clip now. The gal Jason was referring to is Travis Kelce's ex-fiance. And so obviously they brought her into the mix. So here's an interview from her that aired, I believe, Friday or Saturday.
You thought you were going to marry him?
I did.
Were you in love with him?
I was. He met my parents. I had a key to his penthouse. To me, that means that you're pretty serious.
Did he cheat on you?
Yes.
The 31-year-old life coach says she learned about his indiscretions on social media. And now she says she's not sure if Kelce's romance with Taylor Swift is for real.
The only reason that I question the genuineness of the relationship is because he's talking to the media a lot.
Maya says she's been getting death threats from Swifties who think she's trying to destroy the budding romance.
How do Swifties react to you?
Swifties are aggressive, very negative, very hypocritical. It's really crazy to me that someone that I think is, positive and really nice has such a negative and angry fan base.
How do you feel about Taylor Swift?
I don't know Taylor Swift, but I'm a fan of her music. You know, I don't feel any way about her dating Travis. It's cute. I mean, I had him first, so.
I love that dig at the end. By the way, so that aired on Inside Edition, and that was Maya Benberry, who was Travis Kelce's former fiance. I love how she did end it with I had him first. That was pretty funny. And by the way, if there's any Swifties that listen to the Deep Shallow Dive, do not send this poor girl death threats. Come on, that's insane. All right, so anyway, there's that. Regardless, there's also a article. I'm not going to go into it today because honestly, I didn't get a chance to vet it to see if it was real or not. But there was an article that ran in the USA Today on Saturday, which actually talked about the relationship being fake, but we don't care. It's fun. It's whatever. And then I was like, oh my God, is this an April Fool's joke? I was actually surprised about the article. So I did want to vet it a little more, which I'm going to do, and I shall report back on that tomorrow. All right. Well, that's about it, everybody. Happy Monday. Have a great day. Call a spade, and we'll talk to you soon.
This episode was brought to you by Boost Liquid Vitamins. Wake up, take your Boost, start your day. Drink your vitamins, build your immune system with Boost. Available on Boost.com.